Well, good morning. I'm Frank McDonough. I grew up in Garden City, as did my family who moved out here in 1945. All of my three brothers and sisters went through the Garden City High School, as did my two children, and soon my two grandchildren. So I've been involved in Garden City for quite a long time. Additionally, I have been involved in the St. Paul's Project since 1992. I was brought over to a first meeting on St. Paul's before they purchased it, and because of my interest in the village, have been involved in St. Paul's and its various ups and downs for over 30 years. My background actually fits pretty well into the requirements here. I have been involved in developing infrastructure projects around the country and in Europe for 40 years. That includes major nuclear plants, major alternative energy plants, which is my specialty, as well as various infrastructure. So I've done huge public buildings that have been for transportation. I've done major subway systems around the country. I've probably done $50 billion worth of projects similar to St. Paul's in New York, California, Florida, and many other states, as well as in Europe. I've also done federal legislation to help finance these kinds of projects. And I have a company now that does that, particularly in the environmental space, where we do ESG, or environmental, sustainable, good governance type of infrastructure, particularly focused on clean water, and particularly here on Long Island. So that's kind of my background. I have a financial background, I have a development background, and I have a deep background in Garden City, which I have always loved. So the mayor in January asked me to chair the programmatic use and the analysis of the programs that we would suggest, as well as the communications program. So my committee has a number of members. Betsy Andromedis and Michelle Harrington take care of most of the communications work, along with Francine and Mark Ryan, who are experts in preparing and delivering communication product, and such as social media or newspaper ads. On the programmatic side, John Martin and Kathy Wasaki also work with me. So we have a committee of around 8, and our task is to review all of the historical uses of St. Paul's, present them to the community, as well as to ask the country and our neighbors what they're doing in adaptive reuse. We also have an equally important obligation to look at demolition. And demolition comes in a variety of variations. And so we're looking at that as well. The goal is really pretty simple. The mayor asked that we have a clear and concise demonstration of what the opportunities are at St. Paul's, including demolition, and then to compare the uses and the non-uses, or demo, to each other in terms of a cost per year per village resident. So it's pretty comprehensive, but it fits into my background, I think, pretty well. We began back in January, and we reviewed all of the historic documents, which are quite voluminous. It's been 30 years of discussion here in the village. And we cataloged all of the uses that the village residents asked for. And then we categorized them in a different way. So we made a list of all of the potential uses that people recommended, whether we agreed with them or not. And then we categorized them into 4 areas. Uses that would help seniors, uses that would be great for performing arts, that would be theater, song, dance, band, orchestra, anything that would be performing arts. That was also categorized separately. Finally, we also divided things into continuing ed for seniors, post-grads, adults, and K through 12, particularly emphasizing skills that are needed now, such as technological skills. I, for one, am still learning how to program my VCR so it doesn't say noon all the time. So it's that kind of stuff. And we also have a very big effort beyond STEM in athletics. So we want to make sure, as people are living longer, that they have opportunities for recreational use, type of things you would do in a park, any other activity. So we have a fairly broad range of activities that we're looking at. We work on a regular basis. We meet with them almost weekly, and we discuss things with the Finance Committee, the Legal Committee, the Historic Committee. So they all tend to kind of funnel up through programmatic use because they are both limits and opportunities. So the Legal Committee might say, you can't do private use. We can't give the facility to a private developer, as has been suggested in the past. That's not possible. So we eliminated those. But maybe we can do things that would be helpful to seniors. Maybe we can, such as a recreational walking path or multi-generational chess. We can do things for younger folks in here. You know, Garden City has almost world champion robotics team. And so we would be working with them. So anything that we can do to add to the overall community value as well as property values, we're going to do that. And so that's what we do. And we're also beginning a separate effort to review what the costs of demolition, not only the actual work of demolition, but the removal of demolition, the replacement of whatever project they would want in a demolished site, as well as what the cost is by the removal of a building. There's actually some very interesting work on that. So when you remove Penn Station, what impact did that have on New York? What impact did that have on the property values? What was replaced Penn Station? So things like that we'll be evaluating. Our report, as you can imagine, is going to be quite voluminous, and it's a work in progress. So what we have done right now is categorize all the requests the residents have asked for the uses of St. Paul's, including demolition. And we're now evaluating each of them with the legal committee, which will tell us which are no longer possible, such as private use, and which are possible, such as playgrounds, athletics, etc. And then we will form that with the architectural committee and the engineering committee. And with that, we'll develop a program for the building. You know, there's been some discussion in the past that the building was falling down. Not so. Our engineers have confirmed 2 very significant engineering reports, which will be on our website. And those reports say this building, if there's a nuclear attack, you want to be in this building. Maybe 5% at most of the building has had water damage. And that water damage is part, in our view, of a concerted effort to let the building deteriorate over 30 years. Well, the current administration has stopped that. And the building itself, like the pyramids, built like the pyramids, is a series of construction blocks that are impermeable and will be here for quite some time. So that's a major effort for us. So we're going to try and find how our programmatic use can fit inside that building or parts of that building. And then the next thing we're going to do is review that with the finance committee. Everyone has a goal as to what they want to do with their home. When you buy your first home, you're going to say, I want a new kitchen or a new bath, I want a video room, but you're going to phase them in time so that they are things that you can afford at that moment. In some years you can afford more, some less. We're going to do the same. So we will present to the village residents a series of phased development for that project, much like we did with the community park. What you may not know is that in the 1950s, the community park where everyone now goes to play tennis or platform or various sports in the summer pool, that used to be a landfill, used to be a dump. You can go back there now and there's an incinerator, and that incinerator base is still there. But back in the 50s, 70 years ago, the community trustees said, let's do something with that. And over that time, over the next 50, 60 years, we created a pool, we created tennis courts, baseball, softball courts, football and soccer areas, a platform tennis program, all the things that the village residents wanted. That's what we can do in St. Paul's. That's what we can do for the 12 months of the year. And so we will do several things. So the Programmatic and Use Committee will find out the legally permissible uses of the building, cost them out, and then phase them over time. So anything we would recommend to them, or to the residents, would be affordable. Because nothing works if this building deteriorates or destroys our community, including, can it be affordable for seniors? Can it be affordable for new residents? These are things we're going to do. And we'll present that to them so they can make the decision. We're also going to do the same for demolition. Demolition is much more complex than most people think. It's many different kinds of demolition, and it's not just taking a wrecking ball and moving it away. So we'll present that as well. We want one goal, and that is an open, transparent, and available analysis to all the residents of the Village of Garden City so they can make an informed judgment, not one that is biased or one out of fear. And we're going to make sure that happens. Our report will be sometime in the fall, But before then, we are posting quite regularly in social media. We're going to have, and will have as soon as the board approves it this week, I hope, the web pages for the Garden City St. Paul's website, which is separate from the village website. It'll be similar, but people can go there directly. So there'll be a campaign, and there is a campaign now in the Garden City News. There are various social media opportunities on various groups in which we post. There will be a website this week, and there'll be flyers around town. And if anyone has a question, they can always call me, and I'm happy to speak with anyone. And most Tuesday nights now, from now through the fall, we meet at the Garden City Historical Society building at 7:15, and everyone is welcome.